Good evening and welcome to the. Hold on. Mr. Mike Check's already given us a red card for starting late. It's not my fault. It's not Rafa's fault. It might be Jonathan's fault. We could be giving a red card to Jonathan.
Definitely my fault. It's directed at me, I'm sure. Don't worry. Nothing with you guys.
City and their recent performances. We'll get into that very soon here. Man U and Matt doing the Man U things and tying with Ipswich today, right? I think I saw.
Yeah.
Rafa, did draw Madrid win, lose, or draw today?
Well, 3-0. Mbappe and Hey Jude scored.
So it must have been a game that didn't mean anything if Mbappe is scoring, because he can't score.
We're only 1 point behind. We're only 1 point behind Barcelona. So.
But Royce is on his way. I guess Christmas came early to the Royce household, so they're putting up the Christmas tree. A little early in my taste. We do it Thanksgiving. When do you guys put up Christmas trees?
Mine's already up.
Really?
Yeah, mine's up already. It has to be up 2 weeks before my birthday. That's my mom does it.
And when's your birthday?
December 2nd.
December 2nd. Damn.
Mad.
So, Matt, where's the birthday party at?
At work, so I don't know.
He'll tell us after the stream, I'm sure.
Oh, no. I mean, what Rafa's thinking. I'm out of town that week.
So, but as we're trying to delay a little bit for Royce to hop on here, welcome to SanAntonio FC Fancast. I'll be the host, as always, recently, since Royce has abandoned me on helping out with that for that here. But let's start with the great Jonathan Check. How many is it in a row for Man City?
5 straight losses. I will say, though,
it's 5 straight USL Championship Western Conference winners.
What a transition.
That's how it's done. But go ahead. Let's hear the excuses. My son is upset at the midfield, and he says the defense is extremely poor for Man City. He's not happy as a Man City fan. Is the race already over? Because I think Arsenal's. I think it's Arsenal up, right? Is it? Yeah. No, Liverpool.
Liverpool's like 8 points ahead, I think. And guess what 2 teams play each other next Sunday, a week from now? City and Liverpool. So
the race could be over by Christmas.
It may be looking really bad. From what I will say, though, is how often do teams I guess the point that I'm going to make here is nobody is consistent. Even if you start the season hot, you'll go through rough patches. Liverpool, presumably at some point, will see a dip, whether it's because they're just involved in too many competitions, whether it's because things stop clicking. It's not going to be smooth sailing. Exactly. Injuries too, which is something City can tell you plenty about right now. But also it is kind of just the defense. Yesterday's 4-0 loss to Spurs at the Etihad being a great example. Now, to be perfectly fair, I didn't even watch that. I was focused on the USL Championship final. Understandably, support American soccer first, especially when it's on national TV, even at 11 in the morning for us.
11 in the morning. I'll give USL credit. Did you see the menu that they served? Biscuits. I see if I can find that tweet. Or actually, it was a Blue Sky. They had a breakfast concessions, and I was like, that'd almost be worth it here in San Antonio to have like a breakfast have a match in the morning and then have breakfast tacos. I'd be down for it, dude.
I'd be down for it too.
I don't think he listens to this, but I know one fellow SAFC media member who for years has been aggressively lobbying for a daytime game. Maybe one day he'll get his wish. personally, all right, sure, I'll give you one, but I am not the biggest fan of day games for completely non-soccer reasons.
Hey,
I'm
I
just
think I'm
not a
gonna
fan
get
of
called.
bright light.
So I'll give my have two teams in England. I follow Newcastle United, obviously, and fuck you, Sunderland. I still wear my Newcastle scarf to your practice. Guys. Yep. Get out of here.
Oh, it's such a legendary day.
But Accrington Stanley, they have a day game, and they'll invite students from the area, but they also give them a kit. Now it's a replica kit along those lines. So I think that would if you were to do that, because obviously it would be something, a one-off where maybe not a lot of season ticket members would go or something like that. Where to me, I think it would be kind of cool to start to build that fan base, built that connection with the young kids. Field trips, from school or class or soccer teams, from the local areas, to be able to go and see a match. But early March, right, Rafa? I think that high school season will be over by that point. April, May-ish.
Right before, like the second week of April. Well, the second week of April.
But like that towards the April-May time frame, but to me that wouldn't be a bad thing to be able to do for that here. But Matt, let's do your introduction. Like you, Man United, disappointing. 1-1.
That wasn't that disappointing.
So Man U's happy with a draw to Ipswich. Really?
I mean, bro, I think we're still at the bottom of the field, but I'm aware of. I feel like a typical SAFC fan right now. It's just we're at the bottom of the table. There's no progress.
Rafa, thank you. Oh, actually, Rafa and Matt, thank you for coming out to AJ's game last night. Wish it would have been a little bit better like today's. Today, unfortunately, my son got his first heartbreak in the game of soccer. A 1-1 draw against a Del Rio team that looked pretty good. Controlled the game. They lost 3-0 Saturday night, which is a game that you guys saw today, was a 1-1 draw. They were probably the better team. But unfortunately in soccer, sometimes the ball just doesn't go your way. They gave up a late goal that probably shouldn't have gave up, and then they lost 6-5 in PKs. And like I said here, AJ wasn't having none of it, saying, "Hey, you played great." He's like, "We lost."
Was there an update on your goalie?
Huh?
Is there an update on your goalie?
He's gonna go for a scan tomorrow, but he was in a boot. I saw pictures of the foot. It didn't look good, so we'll find out how long he's out. But the backup it was a fun game. Kudos to the Del Rio kids; they played good, great. Kudos to the Duncanville team. I think they ended up winning it all. Let me see if they posted it. But Duncanville and the team from Eagle Pass that Rafa was talking to one of the parents on through their Dragons FC, and this is for the was a 08 07 because they played 16 17 or whatever that age break is for that here. But it was a fun tournament. Like I said here, like I said here for AJ, it was his first crying after a game where he put everything out there, played great, and it just didn't go well. And I still remember those as a kid, that kind of helped shape you. I can tell you what, it was the quietest car ride back. I didn't have any music on. I didn't say anything. The Yannick and AJ didn't say a word at all. Everybody just, I was like, is anybody going to say anything? But no.
It's that Ricky Bobby mentality. You ain't first, you're last. You're not, I mean, it's when it comes to soccer. I mean, Hey, but it's great out there to go see him out there. Hey, for us to cover some club soccer, like I said, at least we're out there. You know, we're out there for club, we're out there for high school. What more can you say? So, but there's some good talent I see. So the future looks bright for some of the teams that, especially the Eagle Pass team. I got a lot of insight from them. If they can find the right high school coach, I think that team can do some damage. I honestly think they could really do some damage. And then I wanted to talk to one of the parents. He had his son playing goalkeeper. I think he was playing 2 years up, which is great. So I mentioned to him, hey, make sure you go to the SAFC camp with Las Palmas. Maybe Juan La Madrid may take a look at him and end up recruiting him for the SAFC Academy. So who knows?
Yeah, the only thing I remember from yesterday was that ground was just unfortunate to that goalkeeper, man. The way his foot got stuck in the ground, it didn't look pretty. So that's why I wanted to double check on him. I was like, poor kid.
Yeah. What sucks is hopefully it's not serious because he was in possibly going to be varsity for Sotomayor.
Soto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And actually, Del Rio won. They beat the Duncanville team 2-1 because both
the backyard.
Both Dragon FC lost in PKs. I don't know what the final was for it to Duncanville, and then we lost in PKs to Del Rio. So both of the semifinals, classic games. Both teams gave all, and you got to give credit to Del Rio. They pulled it through. I didn't think they would because Duncanville looked good. They look good, but
well, that Duncanville players, I wonder if some of them came from that state tournament team that gave Sabin Lakes all they can handle. So if that's the case, if there maybe even players or JV, keep an eye on them. They may make a return trip to Georgetown.
Well, that Duncanville Elite was a 07B, and the rest of were 08s. So, like I said here, but through there. Let me check. Hey, Royce, did Royce get added? Royce, you there? I know the video isn't there.
Man.
I'm finally here. Yeah, the video's not here because
I didn't see the video, and I did a quick check, and I didn't see anything. Oh, private chat. Oh, I guess through there here.
Yeah.
How are y'all? How are we doing?
So, Everton, we mocked Man City. We've mocked.
I heard. Yeah, Man City's going through a tough time. Obviously, they don't have two of their main attackers. They don't have their stalwart in the middle. Which, hey, that sounds exactly like SAFC, doesn't it? No dependable number 6, and you're seeing what happens from last year's Man City to this year's. And then Man U just sucks. I have a fun stat for you though.
Uh-oh.
When Eric Ten Hag took over, who was recently fired from Man United, Marcus Rashford scored within the first 10 minutes of Eric Ten Hag's tenure.
Mm-hmm.
So now that their new coach has taken over, Marcus Rashford scored within 2 minutes. So it just sounds like they have Eric Ten Hag 2.0. So it doesn't sound like anything is going to get any better with the red side of Manchester. So we'll see how that goes.
I didn't say nothing.
I hate that Liverpool is leading the Premier League, but it looks like Arsenal, once again, all of the teams they need to fail are failing, and yet they still shoot themselves in the foot because they're Arsenal. That's pretty perfect, isn't it? So, good stuff. I heard the beginning. I heard that. I heard AJ's team fell in their tournament. I won't say failed. They played well. Rex had his city tournament. Rex made city playoffs, and
nice.
And he had in the game that they got eliminated in, he had 10 to 15 saves. I lost count, honestly, how many saves that kid had. And as a goalkeeper, he had an assist. He had a nice through ball to his striker, and his striker put it away. So Rex played really well. They lost by 1 to, I'm pretty sure, kids that were 1 or 2 years older than every single kid we had. So they played pretty well. Can't complain with their performance, but
Hey, maybe you should talk to the goalkeeping whisperer Rafa and see if he can get some pointers.
You know what? I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind getting a couple sessions in with Rafa and see if he sees anything in Rex and seeing what suggestions you have for maybe a club team that we can join around here.
Yeah, I was trained by Tim Howard's coach, so I know a lot.
Speaking of Tim Howard, I was going to say, if Rex was making all those saves, like he basically did what Timmy did against Belgium a couple years ago, and he got an assist. So is coaching really going to help that much? Like he's already pretty much at the pinnacle.
Oh, wow.
I know.
It's learning the technique. That's what it is. He masters that technique. He's going to be a wall. So
no, here's the important question. Here's the important question.
Go ahead.
And it's for Matt and Rafa. Is he eligible to play for Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, not at all. No. He's only eligible for the U.S. So.
It doesn't matter because they're still going to have Ochoa starting for the next 2 to 3 decades more.
They found
Malagon's already taken over that spot, and you saw that on Tuesday. So, I know I did talk to the U13, U15 national coach for Mexico, the goalkeeping coach. I know he is coming back soon, so maybe we might have to bring Rex out to have him take a look at him.
There you go. No, what I was going to say is I'm looking forward to Rex buying part ownership in a soccer team in Tennessee and then immediately moving it to California. So that'll be a nice nest egg for me to retire on. So anyway, on that note, bringing it back to USL, let's get to SAFC news.
Hey, we got news.
Harry, yeah, you want to go over the early winter? It's not even winter yet. You want to go over the fall news?
Yeah.
So it's still like summer.
I'm still waiting on Jonathan Chuck to break the news about our coach, but like Man City, letting me down. But
they're not going to give me anything, and you know it.
No, that's Newcastle's line with trying to get around the spending rules of I found out that the Premier League rules for spending and the income are just as crazy as MLS, if not worse. For that here, thanks to the Man City lawsuit, and then them turn around saying, "Well, hey, we're going to pass this rule to still keep Newcastle down." But returning at least two members of this
4 or
podcast.
5 by now.
Juan Agudelo. We'll go to the president of the Agudelo fan club because the vice president isn't here. Royce, Juan is back. Good news? Bad news?
So for a couple reasons, I'm going to say this is a great move. Number one, for the locker room. I think he's a good locker room presence. Mm-hmm. I think he has the experience to be that veteran presence. Do I want him to necessarily be the outright starter in like the number 9, the only striker out there? No. Agudelo needs a striking partner. I think we've seen that Agudelo will work his tail off to hold up the ball and distribute, but he needs someone to distribute it to, especially when he goes up against 2 center backs. He's just going to get physically bullied every time. So as long as – and we'll see what the new coach has in mind for a tactical for what formation they want to go with or what little what offensive system they want to play. But as long as he is that second striker and the hold-up player, I think we're in good hands. He's one of the best hold-up players in the league. So – and that's really what we need. We'll see what the new coach has in mind, but I think it's a great move. I think it's an easy call. That's the guy you want to bring back. He's also last year's leading goal scorer on a team that couldn't score goals, so that's good. So we'll see what happens going forward.
There's a question I'm going to ask Jonathan here in a second. Also back is Nelson Flores Blanco. We knew he was coming back. Reese Buckmaster is back. And also Sophane Defal, right? One of the late seasons additions, that spent a little bit of time up in Broccoli, went over to Orange County, was released, had his option picked up. But here's my question to you, Jonathan. I think I keep up with this. I did not know that Juan Agudelo or Reese Buckmaster was signed to multi-year deals. Did you?
I did not. If I'm not mistaken, when SAFC made this announcement, I went and looked back at least specifically for Agudelo and for Buckmaster, looked back to see, were they announced as a multi-year contract? Neither of them were. So those were kind of surprises. But at the same time, with Nelson Flores Blanco and La Cava, that had been announced. So we did know that. So it's just kind of weird that SAFC was selective about what they announced. Or I don't even want to say selective, because that kind of makes it sound like it was intentional. But maybe it's just a bit of a disconnect, or a miscommunication as the deal goes from the actual footballing staff to the communications team. So I'm not going to say it was anything nefarious, just didn't have all the details, I suppose.
Also returning, Luke Hawkinson, Mr. All-Purpose, and Jake LaCava. We knew LaCava was returning because when he transferred over for that here. And probably the one that surprised, I think, everybody, and he got his own little page, Mo Omar. Rafa, your thoughts on the 7 that were announced initially on November 20th of returning to San Antonio FC?
Well, I think with Mo Omar, I think that's your 6. And I think that's where we're missing pretty much the majority of the year. So I think that's a good signing. Agudelo, I can agree with what Royce mentioned about as far as the leadership in the locker room. But we definitely have to find a killer up front. And one thing I do want to go back to is really start pressing teams. So we're going to need forwards with some speed. They're younger. They're aggressive. And Agudelo, he can come off the bench, maybe a little change of pace. Maybe when we have a lead, he plays kind of that same role like Dylan played, hold the ball, distribute, and so forth, create chances. As far as to look at the rest, I think this is something I mentioned to Matt. Like, we noticed half of our roster is under 25. So I think they're bringing a lot of the youth back. I think that's that's the kind of the trend a bit. Buckmaster's, he's like a switch wheel dive. You can plug him anywhere, I guess. They're in the midfield lead, but he works hard. So he's like a little pest that gets in your way. So I'm glad that he's back. Blanco, like I said, I think he was a steal. Still signing for us, and I think he's gonna. And you just saw what he can do. I know, like you mentioned about the surgery. Hopefully, he'll be ready back for the start of the season, and we'll see what direction this team is going to go to. Because the main thing is finding the coach. The coach is kind of going to dictate what type of system of play, that we're going to be at, and then the type of players that do fit in. But the number one thing I think moving forward is they have to find their number 9. They got to find their number 9, at least 2 of them up front. If I have, my gut feeling is we're playing a 4-3-3 next year. I think we're going away from the 3 back. I think we're playing 4 back. So we're probably going to have 3 up front. So we need at least 2 quality guys that maybe can complement if Jorge does come back, which we'll talk about more of that later, that can really kind of do some damage up front like we did a couple of years ago.
Matt, your thoughts on the 7?
I was actually surprised about Mo. Well, that was the only one I was shocked about. The other ones I had a feeling on, except Juan Agudelo. I didn't think that was coming back either. But though I think like me and Rafa were discussed yesterday, It's primarily under 25 years old. This team, your older, your elder, like what? Probably 6, 7 of them. So we are primarily a young team. Uh, I just can't wait to see how it goes with this year. Maybe Omar stays healthy long enough to really make the difference probably this year.
Question for you, Royce, is with DeFall. Didn't get a lot of minutes. Only 284 minutes in 8 matches after signing with SAFC in July. Does have the pedigree. Your thoughts on him? You know, like I said, Omar kind of surprised me because of the injury, but DeFall also surprised me because he didn't really get a lot of minutes. And he was quality, but I'm just trying, you know, what does that say to you as far as for the signing for him, if you know, in your opinion?
Yeah. We'll see. I think it's definitely a sign of a quality midfielder, which, once again, have we reiterated, the midfield was kind of especially the defensive midfield area. That was a weak point of SAFC in 2024. So if you have another option at a 6, maybe a backup or another 8, why not bring him in? You brought back Mo Amar, as we've discussed. He is a left-footed 6. DeFall is right-footed, so I think it just gives the new coach options, whether you want to go with a single pivot 6 or if you want to do a double pivot. Those are two pretty good candidates in the USL to be a good double pivot duo there in the midfield with the natural left and natural right-footed player. And then Hackinson in front of them is an 8, and then if you're going to have the 3 up front, Jorge, and then whatever 2 strikers. I think that's a pretty darn good base. And then with Buckmaster and Nelson Blanco as the wingbacks, that's pretty dang good. Obviously, Mitchell Tainer is a center back, and whoever his partner or partners is going to be. That's a really nice start to filling out a solid roster in USL. Obviously, depending on the coach that you bring in. And we'll see. That's kind of the thing to be seen is the goalkeeping core and the coach. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, I think it just gives the new coach a lot of good options to start with, and kind of gives a new coach whoever they're interviewing a good chance to say, this is how I want to use these players, and know that those players are going to be available to him. So him or her. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's looking pretty bright. I think that's a really good start. And once again, this is one of those things. Let us not forget that from 2016 to basically 2020, we would bring back maybe 1 or 2 players.
Yeah.
And once again, we're bringing back 7 players, at least as a core. Obviously, we've seen Jorge Hernandez be spotlighted on the official San Antonio Spurs account for all social media. So pretty sure he's coming back.
I'll be careful on that because we don't know that for.
We don't know, but I think that's a good sign that negotiations are ongoing and things are advanced. I think if he wanted to leave, they'd let him leave quietly. Considering the organization, I think they would do that quietly. If they're pretty sure he's coming back, that's why they're spotlighting him. So the same thing happened with Tainer, right? Where Tainer was not announced in the first group. He was announced later because he's a standalone player. He's a core player. And B, he is Mr. San Antonio FC. So
to be fair, he was announced the next day.
Correct.
So,
and that's what I mean. I think that's what I mean. I think negotiations are ongoing. But anyway, I think they're, like I said, I think they're good signings. It's a really good core going forward. And you just need to add some equal level pieces onto that to keep this thing going. And really fill out this roster to be to once again be competitive for the championship as we expect this team to be.
So we've already kind of talked about it, but Mitchell Tainer will be returning for the 6th season and 7th season because he signed a new multi-year deal from the Milk Club or Missing Milk Carton Sporting SAFC Sporting Director. He did put out a written statement. We are thrilled to agree on a multi-year contract with Mitchell and keep him part of the SAFC family. Mitchell is a dominant defender with a leader in our locker room. We look forward to having our all-time appearance leader continue to represent our club as we enter a new era. I said I thought maybe Mitch wasn't coming back just because we knew his contract was up. I'm super excited that he's back and back for a couple of seasons at least. To me, he's SAFC's version of Rafa Castillo. With that long term, 6, 7, 8 years. Hopefully that he'll be with SanAntonio FC. But as Raz mentioned on Twitter, sometimes this is lower league soccer. So just because they do sign a contract or they're under a multi-year contract, as we saw last year, does not guarantee that they'll be here at the start of this season. So I'm pretty positive Mitch will be here. Like I said here, he's a great community guy. All my interactions with him have been awesome. But we'll start with you, Jonathan. Your thoughts on Captain Mitchell Tainter and the all-time appearance leader returning for 6 seasons.
Okay, well, I'll start with Mitch and then give some other ideas on the other returnees since I haven't gotten to speak about that yet. First of all, with it's all good. A lot of us to get around to. First of all, with Mitch, I'm kind of with you there. I was, maybe a little surprised or not surprised, but it was interesting to see that he did re-sign because this is going to be the first time, like you said, this will be his 6th and 7th years with SAFC. But this will be his first time without Alan Marcina at the helm. And for those who weren't aware, those two really clicked together. They spoke very highly of each other. It seemed like Mitch really fit Alan's system, and Alan was the kind of coach that Mitch wanted to be under. So they had a very symbiotic relationship. So it'll be interesting having a new coach. That's probably something that I'll ask him about. Not wanting to reference Alan too much, but hey, this is your first time in SanAntonio with a different coach, so that'll be interesting. And I'm sure, I know a couple years ago, teammate Carter Manley, who is also a realtor, in addition to moonlighting as a soccer player, he sold Mitch and his wife a house, so he's got some roots here. Like you said, though, you never know. These guys, even if they get re-signed, kind of like Fabian Garcia last year, and then at the start of 2024 they part ways, something happened there, some sort of breakdown, even though there wasn't even a coaching change or anything. So who knows? Sometimes roster moves work in mysterious ways. As far as
Tulsa of last year signed 2 or 3 players and then ended up transferring home as the season started. So and next one I will, just overarching, I'd like to point out something with the release of the initial roster moves. I think it's important to note that Agudelo, Buckmaster, Flores Blanco, and La Cava were all just still under contract. Those are the ones that I'm not going to say any of them are going to be leaving, but SAFC basically had no choice in those. They were already under contract no matter what. I think it is maybe worth noting that Jafal, Hawkinson, and Omar, they exercised those options. So that is SAFC intentionally saying, yes, we do want you back. They had a choice in the matter. They said, yes, we want to bring you back. We want you for another season. With Zafal, like you guys kind of alluded to, he didn't really get much time to show what he had. Obviously it's hard when you come in midway through the season sometimes. And maybe this is also a sign that he was more of a Marco Ferruzzi signing rather than an Alan Marcina signing. But then with Hawkinson, obviously he played a lot last year,
probably didn't play a lot in his preferred position or two. I know at the start of the year we talked to him, hey, or someone asked him before interviews, just kind of, I guess, to have a little name card, perhaps on the news, what position do you play? And he said like wing back or wide player or something like that. Well, as we know, he mostly got deployed in the midfield. So I don't know that we necessarily see him as an 8. If SAFC can help it, he shouldn't get shoehorned into that kind of position. And I guess maybe he re-signed with some stipulation or just at least a verbal promise. Hey, you're not going to have me playing emergency, box to box midfield or anything, are you? I don't know. We'll see. But if I were him, I'd feel a little annoyed that he had to be the utility player last year. And then moving on, Mohamed Omar, another. I was actually kind of curious to see what he would have gotten in a full season of him, particularly because there was just a gaping hole in the middle of SAFC's midfield there with Mohamed Abu, the other Mohamed, deciding to retire a few matches into the season. Bura Noguera was sometimes gone on international duty, I think sometimes injured. So it was just a high need position. SAFC really could have used something like that. And honestly, it may not have changed your whole season, but it may have given you enough stability there to where you get those extra few points, you make the playoffs. Just speculation, but you never know. And even just interacting with him, I kind of liked him. He was a friendly guy, still relatively young. Curious to see what he can do if he stays fit. And for what it's worth, even though he was out for the season, he did at least, I saw him walking over of his own power to SAFC trainings later in the year, perhaps to get on an exercise bike or something. So he has been moving again. Curious to see what he does. So yeah, I think that covers all the signings, and we'll see who else gets added. Position wise, you've got, like we alluded to, a couple wingbacks or fullbacks, a couple forwards, even if they're not necessarily number 9s. So that's just kind of where we stand for now. And I'm sure bright and early Monday morning, SAFC will have a signing for us that we missed, and we'll have to wait an entire week or two to talk about.
Rafa or Matt, your thoughts on the great Mitchell Tainer returning?
I mean, captain. That's all I can say. I mean, it's great to have somebody from the championship core still here. I mean, it's not much of a, how do I put it? I'm happy, but it's like at the same time, it's like, what changes will he make this year without Allen, and what kind of how is it going to look in the back now with us knowing some of these defenders? So I'm excited that Mitch is coming back, and for him, for the person that he is, and the players, I think it's really great that he's coming back.
I guess what I can say about Mitch, I think he brings stability to the team. I think he's now the face of the team. You can say, like you mentioned about Rafa Castillo, I think he's in that role now. And I think not having him would have been kind of a little strange. And like I said, it didn't look like, we thought maybe he'd end up in some state northeast of here, but we're glad that he's back. Like I said, he brings leadership, and that's the thing is having the leadership. For how long is he going to be here? Like I said, maybe hopefully he is here. The intention is maybe to finish his career here would be great. But like I said, you have someone that can anchor that defense, and hopefully they can get somebody that can complement them next to them, depending on, like I said, what formation they're going to play or strap, coming up this season. So just excited to see him back, and we'll see what he does upcoming 2025.
Royce, did I give you an opportunity to talk about Mitch? If I can take myself off of mute.
Yeah, no, we're good. I think I went through it already. Mr. SAFC, good to have him back. And we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what the new coach, who it ends up being, and kind of how they deploy this core. But I'm excited about this core. And like Jonathan said, it's the curse of the podcast. I'm looking forward to the major announcements tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
You don't even have to wear your socks.
I will
So just-
either way. But yeah, exactly.
To quickly touch base, Colorado Springs won the USL Championship, as I touched base kind of jokingly at the start. That's 5 straight USL Championship wins for the West. Kaylor Hodges, it's not a simulation. Maybe the East is a simulation, just because Louisville City is doing the FCC approach of just crushing the league, but not really crushing the playoffs. Along those lines here for us old people that follow historical USL for that here, and the banner that FCC put out in their final season where they crushed the league because they had a great regular season and then lost in the playoffs. Same round actually as Lou City, but Rhode Island, great season. Colorado Springs still can't beat SanAntonio. Somehow, and I'm going to throw it to you, Jonathan. Ginny Check made it on to the coverage I saw here. So your thoughts on the USL Championship and your mom being on big CBS.
Oh, is she my mom? You guys sent a picture of her yesterday, and I had no clue who that was. Yeah,
it wasn't me.
Yeah, I think it was Robert or Stuart got a freeze frame, and I don't know how they got a picture so good, because honestly, I went back and watched it, and it is blink and you miss it, like almost literally blink and you miss it, because it is a split second. But yeah, she's up there, holding the flag that one of the many times that she did that. Insert joke about not being able to have that for the first half of last season.
Well, it wasn't a joke. Your dad actually.
I know. That's why I'm saying insert mention of that. Someone's gonna say it. People are at least gonna think it. But yeah, so she was on national TV again. I know there was one time that all 3 of us were on national TV, and maybe some of you guys, some of the other people listening, when the U.S. and Mexico played in the Alamo Dome, we were at least on Fox Sports 1. That's something. But to my knowledge, this is the first time that someone has made it onto national TV like that. So congratulations to her. I guess if you have to choose any SAFC fan, sure, choose the one that's kind of talismanic, quintessential, those kinds of words.
Matt, gonna have to make a flag for that.
The Erling Haaland of USL fandom, exactly.
Weird comparison, but okay.
Yeah, that can go well. Matt, let's move on from Royce's horrible whatever that was. Or Rafa.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
As far as the final, who cares? Yeah, Colorado, yeah, they got lucky, right? They won.
But jeez.
It was 3.
Had they gone to Louisville or had they gone to Charleston, they would have lost. Simple as that. So
that's
they
not
just
their
pulled
fault.
another few.
They only played.
I know it's not their fault. I know. It's the same thing what happened to Phoenix last year. Like I said, remember, SanAntonio will still be the only number 1 seed that won the title, that won the Supporter Shield. So they can't take that away.
Okay, piggybacking off of that, Rafa. No, they did not beat Louisville. They did not beat Charleston. They beat the team that beat both of them. I mean, you can definitely make the case. Yeah. Well, Rhode Island, exactly. On the road for all 3 of those matches, were able to beat the top 2 teams in the East. They get to Colorado Springs, and I think it's honestly, I think it's
they ran out of gas.
I think it's unfair for you to call them lucky. Okay, because yesterday's match was I think you can say Colorado Springs deservedly won that. They were the better team. Rhode Island, I think I saw the USL Championship kind of said their attack just kind of went missing. There wasn't much going forward for them, and Colorado Springs, they capitalized on their chances, which is interesting because I'd heard that they had been kind of skating through the playoffs, having Christian Herrera, the goalkeeper, making some big saves to keep them in certain matches. But when push came to shove, when they were on national TV yesterday, they showed up. They were the better team. Do not discredit them.
Oh, no, I'm not discrediting the game yesterday. I mean, they did what they had to do. I'm just saying, had they had to go on the road to face those other two teams, it might have been different. And I said, but kudos to them. Like I said, they took full advantage of having the home playoff game. They won it. They did what they're supposed to do. Like I said, I think Rhode Island just ran out of gas being on the road, and it just finally caught up to them. And like I said, kudos for them too, having a great season.
I got 2 points for you, Rafa. One, I'm pretty sure Colorado Springs would have filled the role that Orange County did, 3 years ago, who went to Tampa, which would have been that year version of Louisville City, and dominated that match in Abilene. Number two, huge shout out to Annie, super fan, one of the nicest women you'll ever meet. The Jenny Check of Switchbacks travels, pure class. She's been to San Antonio most years. And then my old friend Mark Turner from back in the back chat show, Days podcast, where they actually had him on local radio there, and then it was purely the podcasts, and then he ended up moving to Austin and then moving back. But shout out to them and to all the people and fans in Colorado. Like I said here, well done. Like I said here, we can all just agree, disagree, as far as the championship, but they're the ones that got the rings. They got the job done, and they'll be hunting next year. Let's see what they can do. And they still haven't beat San Antonio. That's all I'm gonna say. So.
It's amazing.
Honestly, I'm just going to say, honestly, I don't think they care that they lost to San Antonio because in the end,
But at that time, they did in Colorado Springs. They thought that they were going to be. So next, we're going to turn to Matt, Royce, and Jonathan. I'm not sure how much Rafa is with this here. But there is Project Marvel. Let's see if I can do this right here. Let me see here.
Go ahead and cue that video.
San Antonio is the heart of Texas, but the soul comes from its people. It is time to showcase the rich history and diverse cultural heritage of San Antonio on a global scale. Time to usher in the next generation of sports, technology, and entertainment in Texas. Imagine the activation of 4 community parks woven through some of the most iconic buildings in San Antonio. An immersive, free, and accessible experience, allowing visitors and locals to connect with the culture of our community. A connection that will reknit the city fabric and bring communities together. A vibrant urban development that combines entertainment, dining, retail, and residential space into a world-class destination, all with our San Antonio charm. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to give our fans, visitors, and most importantly, our community members, an experience that will live on for generations. No city in the country can offer the range of experiences and opportunities in one place. From the Final Four, college football playoffs, and the World Cup, to beloved local events such as Dia de los Muertos and Fiesta. Let this be the catalyst to draw our next generations together and transform the future of San Antonio.
So thank you to the city of San Antonio for that presentation here. Let me see here. Get rid of that. And then see. There we go. All right. So Roy sent me the slides here for that here, and we'll kind of go over it. Basically, what they've done here is they've acquired, property. What was it? Hemisphere area. Their legislation, they're going to grant the city of San Antonio to create a project finance zone to improve the convention center, other sports and entertainment facilities, and establish a PFZ for the Henry B. Convention Center and Alamo Dome in December 2023. Secure $2.9 million in USDOT public planning effort. It's going to cost a lot of money, so we'll go to you, Matt, because you and I think you and Royce are the experts on this here. Rafa, Jonathan, if you guys want to hop in. And the reason why we're going over this is because Spurs Sports Entertainment, the Spurs own SAFC. It's still unknown how this really affects SAFC, but it affects all of us here in San Antonio. And let's be honest, if the Spurs left San Antonio, it would hurt through here. And I know people don't like financing stadiums for the wealthy. For me personally, I'm not one of those guys because I see the value that it brings. Being able to bring concerts, be able to bring Final Four events, be able to bring, convention center. Now, whether the money's spent correctly, that's, outside of my realm and more into Matt's realm. So, so
Yes,
Matt, what are we looking at here? And like I said here, if you want me to move forward with the slides, I can do that. Or, Matt,
you can.
if you want me to move.
I'll let Royce go first.
All right. That was obviously I watched the meeting. I did a little bit of research on this. So kind of how this is going to go down is, like you have that there. So part of this project is going to be, where we have the Grand Hyatt downtown next to Hemisphere Park. This is going to include another hotel that's the same size or bigger than the Grand Hyatt next to it. And that's going to be a lot of hotel rooms for the convention center. It's going to include expanding the convention center. From what they said, we need about, I think it was 100,000 to 200,000 more square feet on the convention center in order to access international events, like the international car shows and big events like that internationally. So they want to include that in the project. UTSA is going to get a hospitality campus. So like hotels and business and whatever. Part of their agreement by selling the Institute of Texan Cultures for the new Spurs Arena is going to be for that. All of this is going to be paid for, like you said, by that special tax region. And it's something that I believe they did in Austin. So only within a 3-mile radius from this area, that's where the tax increase is going to happen if you either rent a car or get a hotel room in that area. So all of this, the only thing that taxpayers in San Antonio are going to pay for is going to be the utilities and the infrastructure. And so like the land bridge that they want to do a full land bridge that goes over I-37. That's going to be a public thing that's going to go to a vote. And then obviously the utilities and stuff. I know one of the big utilities issues is Saws has a tritulator or a chiller over there by the Grand Hyatt. That's going to have to get moved somewhere. So that's going to cost some public money to do. Other than that, the Spurs Arena, not a dime is going to come from taxpayer money. The Alamo Dome improvements, not a dime is going to be taxpayer money. A lot of the revenue is going to be land sales. They're going to sell a lot of the land. They're going to get revenue from that, and it's going to come from the infrastructure bills that the Biden administration passed, as well as, like I said, an increase in fees for renting hotels or cars within a 3-mile radius there of that downtown area. So That's what we know so far. And there's a memorandum of understanding about all this, which is basically they have a memorandum of understanding about the new Mission Stadium. That's as far as they've gotten. So they're pretty much at the same level of development, the new Missions baseball stadium, as well as the new Spurs stadium and the updated Alamo Dome. The other thing I will say, for a timeline, they want the new Spurs arena to be open by they want to start construction within the next 1 to 5 years and to finish within the next 5 to 10 years. So this is going to be a pretty quick turnaround on all this. And then the Alamo Dome will not. Part of this is going to be a whole new renovated Alamo Dome, as you can see in the renderings there. It looks modern, looks really cool compared to what it is now. That's not going to get started until 2030, and that's because San Antonio was already slated to host the Women's Final Four in 2029, and immediately following that is when the updates to the Alamo Dome are going to take place. And that's about all that they said in that meeting, and that's as much as we know right now. I'm Royce Alvarez, ESPN. Thank you. All right.
So you go back one slide, Terry. Let's see if it's the slide I need. Keep going. It's the map of where it says the amount of years. Okay, so right there.
The amount of years, that was this one here.
So if you see, because I can't see on this little screen.
The
So
blue,
if you can see all the
blue is
all
1
the
to
blue,
5, and the brownish is 5 to 15 years, which is the Alamo Dome, and then the parking lots. Next.
Yeah. So if you can see all the blue right there, that they're trying to get that very quickly, from what I'm understanding from being within. They're trying to get a move on all that. Once we figure out pretty much when they want to start touching the hemisphere is when the city will get a little bit more involved. As far as I'm aware, for convention center, they are pushing it out a little bit toward. Oh, well, not even a little bit. They are pushing it out into Civic Park and then coming closer towards the tower. There is a lot of promising in jobs that they're saying that I'm aware of that they're going to build into convention center. If you go 2 slides forward, I think is the one we talked about before pre-show.
No.
Go back. Where's it at?
What are you looking for? The one
with the hotel.
This is great. This is great audio entertainment here.
So only the best.
As you can see on the hotel, that's where they're taking care of the solids facility. So from the tip towards going near 37, all the way to Marriott, that is all the hotel.
The Grand Hyatt.
So
right there.
yeah, so if you're very familiar with Bowie Street, yeah, you can say goodbye. Say goodbye to Bowie Street, because there's no more area to turn right there for honking downtown.
I mean, they're getting rid of the Denny's? Oh, no.
No, the Denny's is still probably going to be there, but within that facility right there,
that Denny's needs to go away.
Stretch.
That Denny's needs to
How
go
many of
away.
us have had our card towed from that Denny's?
Not me.
I know a lot of
I haven't
people
had
that
my card
have.
towed from there.
So is that like the La Quinta going away too?
No, that right there is just taking up the spot between commerce and commerce and market. That's where that's going to be at. As Mike said also, yes, county was very, very pissed that they got caught off guard with a lot of this planning. They weren't really involved as much as they should have
Mike
been.
Tex just said. Bear County was caught off guard.
They were very heavily caught off guard because it is involved with more city.
This is exactly what happens all the time, where you have a county government and a city government, this happens everywhere in the country where they don't talk, and then it's basically hey, this is our plan. How are you going to make this happen? And so that's kind of the point of, they don't ask for permission, they ask for forgiveness. That's the fun about governments. And then there's going to be price negotiations. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to love it.
And
I don't even know if I'm just going to say, I don't even know. Maybe you guys can correct me, but I seem to recall it wasn't even the city and county not communicating. I thought it was something about the Spurs saying in, maybe the meeting or something, oh yeah, we've shown it to the city and county. And someone asked the county later, hey, so you guys knew about this too? And they were like, no, they didn't tell us. So I could be wrong, but I think it was the Spurs not communicating with the county, or, somewhere I think was that communication breakdown. It wasn't city county, I don't think.
What's that? Spurs Sports Entertainment not communicating with people, and we're here left in the dark about stuff? I don't believe it.
Listen, when it's your local governments who you're going to be depending on to make something like this happen, you communicate. You want to do that. This is a mistake. No, you kind of need their cooperation and their understanding to make this happen. Yeah. As powerful as the Spurs are, they are not a big, bulky, influential government entity.
And it's very shocking of how much how much they're wanting to put into this, and how much they're trying to say to tell the citizens, hey, you're not touching any of this. The only thing you need to touch is 37 and the bridge. That's all you guys touch. But it's just crazy how much going into it, and sitting there when we were watching it at work, we were all talking about it because it heavily hits more of Center City development than it does Convention Center. So
I got a question here for you, and I know Royce mentions he's got to go here. How, for UTSA to be able to be part of this project, my question is, how did they get in on this with the UTSA School of Hospitality? Is it just because it's right there next to the convention center and the hotels and along those lines?
No.
Because to me, for UTSA to be part of this, they are the biggest part of this, because they own exactly where the new Spurs arena is going to be. The only way they sell that is if they get something out of it, and part of it is, hey, we want to build a campus. If we can't have the Institute of Texas and Cultures, and we're just going to sell this to you, we want something out of this. Okay, let's build you a school, buy this world-class convention center and these world-class hotels. Let's get something out of it. And so that's President Amy just being a smart, savvy business person. But that's why is UTSA owns. If you look at that map of the breakdown of the three landowners right now, the biggest landowner is obviously COSA, City of San Antonio. The second are the UT Regents, so it's UTSA that owns the second most land in that area. And the third is the federal government with the federal courthouse. Part of this redevelopment.
Courthouse is actually owned by city.
I'll go through it. So, it's mandated by the federal government. So the city owns it, but the feds own parking lots around it. But there is a deed restriction on that federal courthouse where they can't tear that down. They can't change it. They can't change the outside of it. They can only change the inside. So they're going to change that courthouse into a 5,000 seat concert venue is what they're going to turn that into. They're going to basically tear out all the inside, turn it into a lower concert venue, and do that going forward.
And then Mike is correct on what he said. But that courthouse is owned by the city. I don't think they have any hit by federal. The only thing they have is that old Social Security building and the lots, which I don't even think they're going to be there coming up. That's what we were told by some of the finance department. So it's
right. That checks out.
It's pretty crazy.
So Royce, I know you got to go. Any final thoughts for you? Especially with it being Thanksgiving this week, and like I said here, we'll probably be doing shows when big news happens, or at least once every couple of weeks, I hope, as far as for SAFC related for that high school soccer is going to pick up. But I think we're still going to talk about it. But any final thoughts for you, Royce? Because I know your son has bedtime, and I know you want to keep him on his routine. Because if not, it makes your job just a touch harder.
Yeah, not a touch, extremely. No, just thankful for to you boys for keeping this going. This is always a great joy to record, and definitely thankful for the listeners out there. It's always cool to have the feedback and know people are listening to us yap our trap every once in a while about the team we support, the team we hate sometimes, and the team we love all the time. So. But happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, everybody. We will be back, like you said, whenever there's big news that drops, and looking forward to that. So from that, I'll say good night, San Antonio, and I'm out. And I'll talk to y'all soon.
Hey, Royce. So yeah, it's going to be a long and lengthy process from what I'm getting out of. It's just, it was a lot to take in for one day, especially from your own department, for having a meeting right after it. So we'll just see what happens, man. I mean, from my understanding, like I said, the two departments that are heavily hit is CCDO and I think Convention Center, with a little bit of the ITSD and Metro Health because of the dome area. So it's gonna bring a lot that I've heard, and hopefully we're still doing good.
So to me, the drawbacks that I've heard, the cost, because when you look at the cost, it's eye-opening. And we've all heard of all sorts of governments saying, hey, it's not going to cost local citizens anything, and funny enough, it ends up costing the citizens a couple of pennies here and there. And then the third, parking. Downtown's already more challenging. Let's be honest, public transportation's not the worst in San Antonio, but not really not really the best either.
So what I could say on that part, because that's actually my department.
Literally.
We don't know. We question it in our department every day. When they were talking about doing the baseball stadium, we took out a lot of meters, and I think they took over 2 or 3 lots that belonged to city before they went into SSISD. So parking is going to be the biggest thing. I don't know if they're going to be having people park in these hotels, and these hotels are going to have underground parking, or whether the old GSA lots are going to turn into the new garage. It's just there's so much we want to know. Like where are you going to take over? Because if that convention center garage on Bowie Street's going away, then that was your fuel to help out Hyatt, especially the parking lots behind Hyatt. All that's going away. So you're going to have to figure out the parking situation, and it's going to be a major part of it.
And this doesn't include the possible baseball stadium that's going downtown as well, right?
No, it doesn't. That's the part of it too. We don't know where this parking is coming from. A lot of like I said, city owned. There's only 6 garages. 6 garages, 3 lots, which would be Convention Center, 37, and then 35. Oh, and then Hayes. So 4 lots. But and then because the other ones are more on Alamo Street and over by Martinez. But I mean those lots aren't really getting affected by this whole Project Marvel. So it's just crazy where they're going to find this extra parking because everything else is just contracted. So those are your people who are going to tell you for no reason, and it's just crazy what's going to happen.
Rafa, your thoughts? I know you've been kind of quiet. Whether you know the details or just like me, more. For the city, it's a great thing. Now, there's always be careful what you wish for type scenarios. But your thoughts, Rafa?
I think moving forward on this is, as far as with the soccer's perspective, is how does this affect SAFC? Do they move down there? Is Toyota Field still in the play? I hate to say this, is MLS come into the picture again? The whole question mark, which I doubt.
No.
Or, which, like I said, unless some team wants to relocate, we don't know. I think the international soccer is probably the one thing. If you look at how the field is, I have a feeling that the way it is, it's going to be a retractable roof what they're going to put there. And the other thing is, could SA be exploring other leagues like Liga MX? We would be the ideal spot for a new franchise here. Remember the rumors with Querétaro? We heard back then that they were trying. Someone here was trying to buy the team, and there was a possibility it could have, come here. And Liga MX is looking to expand, especially if now that they're trying to kind of restart the promotion and relegation for their leagues. And I think they do see San Antonio as a hotbed as far as the fan base, because if you do bring a team, like let's say we bring Club America or Chivas, or they're at the Dome, you've seen how the turnout's been. So, like I said, soccer is going to be affected by this. We don't, like I said, from this new project. I do see, like I said, maybe in the near future we get more international games. I think now with the hotels and so forth, it's going to be an attractive spot. If you look, like I said, even with the football, you see with the UTSA football, with the Alamo Bowl, and I think also the whole goal is also to bring a college playoff game too, or maybe that national championship game. That's if they can make it bigger, because like I said, I can tell you this. I was there Friday night at the game. The south end of the press boxes are being renovated, so they're already starting the renovation of the Alamo Dome, and I think they're kind of jumping the gun to see, like I said, I think they see the whole big picture as far as bringing more sports there, but soccer wise, like I said, it's going to be interesting what they can do. But I do see us getting more international games. As far as the SAFC goes, who knows with that? That's really up to Spurs Sports and Internet. And that also depends on how long their lease is with Toyota too. That's another thing. We don't know how long they have that lease with them. If that lease is up, do they decide to come back and say, hey, let's move the team downtown and play at the Alamo Dome?
And see, I know
we know it can't be at a baseball stadium. I think USL is pretty clear that it will, will not be a new baseball stadium, because USL is, I don't want to say pressuring teams out, but they're pressuring teams out of baseball stadiums. I've talked to some people from El Paso and from other areas that Tulsa, that stadium is now starting to become a worry for them, because that's what happened to Memphis. They couldn't get a proper stadium. New Mexico is on the way to do it. El Paso and Tulsa have been relatively quiet for that here. So, like I said here, not that I'm saying either of them are going away by any means, but I do know that USL wants teams out of baseball stadiums for that here, just to give a proper facility for that here. So just, for there. I will also say here, and I'm not feeding into the rumors, but there were a lot of rumors this summer that SAFC was the mystery team that may fold or sell. And I wonder if sell is maybe the bigger thing here. if they're trying to raise additional capital, if they can sell SAFC to get that off the books. I'm not saying that they will or won't. I'm just saying there's too many people that heard whispers for there not to be any smoke. I don't see them folding, but could somebody come in and buy and get the SAFC off the books of SSNE to be able to raise that capital to make the book look a little bit better while they try to finance this or help finance this, however, whatever the proper terms are. That wouldn't shock me along those lines. Jonathan, you had some interesting facial expressions when Rafa was talking about international soccer.
Yeah, well, so I was going to build off of that because it's funny that he mentions things like having a college football playoff game or international soccer here, because it was literally mentioned in the video, if you guys caught that at the end. They mention Final Four, which, okay, obviously, San Antonio has hosted it a number of times now. That makes sense. College football playoff game? Okay, that's a possibility. That's ambitious, but especially when they expand the CFP, it's a possibility. You never know. And they also mentioned not even just international soccer. They literally said the two words, World Cup. Now, obviously, we're not getting into 26. That's not happening.
No.
And we don't know if the U.S. is going to be hosting maybe have they gotten the Women's World Cup a few years after that? I don't recall if that was ever finalized. Okay, so there you go.
But they'd still be in the running. I think the U.S. backed out of it. I forget where it's going, but it's not coming to the United States. I know that.
Yeah, so you're saying, hey, we might get World Cup games here. Well, first of all, for reasons completely out of y'all's control, you may not even have that chance. So I feel weird about them trying to dangle that carrot because, like I said, there's not one planned besides the one that would be way too soon for this to happen. And then by the time that maybe the US gets another one down the road, is this stadium still going to be, it's not going to be one of the newer stadiums anymore. And so I don't know, whoever's planning it, whoever's choosing the venues is going to look at the newer ones. So I just feel really weird about them saying World Cup because it seems very unlikely to me. Go ahead, Rafa.
So Brazil's actually hosting the Women's World Cup in 2027. There hasn't been anyone selected for 2031. So the last time the U.S. hosted was
99.
2003. So 2003 is the last time they hosted it. So I have a feeling that they probably caught wind that the U.S. women's, that the U.S. is going to host probably the 2031 Women's World Cup.
But here's the problem.
Maybe that's why they.
You're wrong on the track because they're saying this. And Matt can correct me. The Alamo Dome is at least 5+ years away.
15.
So you're talking not. I know we're all talking like 20, late 20s, 30s. This is probably going to be mid to late 30s, early 40s, 2040, before that takes. And I'll just be honest with you on the Alamo Dome, and I said this pre-show. I'll be shocked if it happens, just because plans can change. The who knows what world we're in at that point, just for the fact, sports may be completely different, especially college, like college football. It may just be the Super League and then the G5 and then, through there. So, it is what it is what it is. But I will say this, and this is my little zinger to Mr. Cowboy Rafa over here. You're talking about stadiums. Jerry World's already fallen down, just like the Cowboy season. So maybe by that point here, we'll have it.
Because I know.
But another thing you're forgetting also that they also that San Antonio also hosts the UIL men's and women's state soccer
Football.
basketball tournament there.
Yeah.
So they make it also so it's going to expand there because now they've gotten to two divisions with Division 1 and Division 2. So it's kind of prolonging more of those days when they play. And I think that's one of the things they want to improve down there is also for that. And I mean, like I said, I have a feeling, like I said, looking at the track record from the Women's World Cup, and like I said, there are not many very reliable countries that can host the Women's World Cup. I'm just like I said, maybe the next one after Brazil,
the men's as well.
Maybe yeah. Well, we already know where it's going to go. We know it's going back to Saudi Arabia. That check's already been given to the FIFA president. But like I said, money talks, and I'm guarantee you, there's probably FIFA. So someone over here is probably already given the check to the FIFA president to have the Women's World Cup here in the U.S. probably 2031 or 2035.
But you got to remember that stadium won't be done until 2040, even longer, because that stadium isn't going to get touched for a good 15 years.
Well, that's
what
they're saying.
That's what they're saying now.
Years. So it's just the inevitable. But I mean,
but if money talks, they're going to do it a lot quicker because they're not going to lose out on money for 15 years, knowing that they can get that money right away. That's like I said. I honestly think what I saw there Friday night, them renovating all those suites, that tells me already they're already jumping the gun, and they know that, hey, let's start renovating this place because this place is going to get a complete makeover. And I have a feeling, like I said, the only thing they're going to change is probably going to be the roof area. From that picture, it's going to be they're going to have a retractable roof there on that stadium.
Well, it's really just it's a big facelift because if what you're looking at, it's only the outside that we're seeing. We don't know what they're doing on the inside yet. But at the same time, it's like I was trying to say, in city council, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that are heavy in sports. The other ones are more about just financially getting into getting the city out there. Because I believe 2 of them plus the mayor have only been out to SAFC games that are very passionate about it. And I know they really claim they want World Cup, but I mean, like I said, you're waiting till like 2040 and beyond for that part to happen, because that stadium it's gonna be a lot, especially when you're going into 37, and I think it's Montana closest to the houses, so it's gonna be a while, and I'm not shooting down the possibilities of getting a international play there. It's just you're gonna be waiting, and it's gonna be a long wait. Not to say that we're not getting anything, because right now Austin's getting revamped right now in their convention center, from what I've heard, and they're pushing everything towards San Antonio at the moment. So don't be surprised if you see some stuff in Austin coming to San Antonio.
So, any final words on it? The Project Marvel San Antonio or Project SAFC 2025. Any final comment on either one of those before we do final comments, which will be it could be San Antonio related, but non-Marvel or SAFC related? We'll go with you, Jonathan.
I guess if there's anything I'd add, I'd also say there are a lot of elements to this project, and as we've alluded to, sometimes it's more complicated than it's made out to be, especially when you have all these different things that they want to add as part of this overarching plan. Obviously, with the money, sometimes maybe you're going to be focusing it on one project first and then on another. Something I will always remember, I don't necessarily remember the entire sort of documentary, but if anyone's ever seen Sons of Ben, where the Philadelphia Union were kind of getting off the ground, it turns out their stadium was actually supposed to be part of a larger development in that area in Chester, Pennsylvania, particularly for a socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhood, basically. So it was going to be a stadium, but also they were going to kind of invest in the community and build it out in the late 2000s, around the time that we had the Great Recession. So of that project, guess what got built? The stadium. And none of the other stuff that was supposed to also bolster the community a bit. So if you're one of the residents there, you're maybe a little annoyed because, okay, they built the big fancy sports stadium, and then all the stuff that actually probably would have benefited us more didn't come to pass because, for reasons outside of their control, to be fair, the money just kind of dried up. So it looks great on paper, but as they say, the devil is in the details, and these things will rarely go as nicely as they look on paper or in renderings or graphics.
Matt, your final thoughts either on Project Marvel or Project SAFC 2025?
To my understanding, at the end of the day, it's a lot promised to the sports part of San Antonio. It's a lot promised to San Antonio itself. It's just, to me, it's just a lot to take in, and just to clearly separate each of the 500 different scenarios in this thing. So we can't wait to see what happens. Just hopefully government keeps its word. That's all I gotta say.
Rafa?
Just waiting to see how this materializes, especially on the soccer end. How it benefits the growth of the sport here in San Antonio. Does it mean they come down here to the downtown area? Do we get a new team, from another league, or like I said, do we see more international play? Which I think I can kind of foresee more of that. I think hosting more U.S. national, Mexican national team, and maybe Gold Cup, Leagues Cup game, and maybe even even like some of the European teams are also hosting some regular season games here too. Now, like La Liga's having games in the U.S. Now with the partnership with SAFC's partnership with Las Palmas. I mean, does Las Palmas host a game, a Liga game here at the Alamo Dome or something? So many scenarios. So we'll see what happens.
So my final thought on this is the attorneys haven't spoken yet. So a lot of things can change when attorneys get involved, and there will be attorneys involved on each side. So, like how many promises did we, or how many stadium porn pictures did we get of the Toyota field back in the Scorpion days? And we're still on phase one, even though it was supposed to be a 3-phase project. You're on mute, Jonathan.
Yes, sorry, I was just going to kind of jokingly say technically phase 2, because if you remember, phase 1 was initially just the East and the West. So they did see the demand in that first season and add the seats at the north end. But yeah, we saw a lot of, I think 2 or 3 rounds of renderings for that stadium expansion, and the team folded at the end of 2015 anyway. So
so yeah, so but through that
and get a new jumbotron. That phase 3.
That stadium needs some work. It's showing some wear and tear. But final thoughts. Let's start with you, Matt. Then we'll do Jonathan, Rafa, and then I'll end up in the show.
So final thought. Let's just see what happens and everything. Say again?
Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody has a great, I was gonna get to it, but I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Let's pretty much sit down with our families and enjoy everybody's time. Everybody just appreciate one another and see what soccer comes out for in the Euro leagues and what comes out for us. with these signings.
Oh, did you want to touch on your Dynamo at all? Because I haven't did any cheap shots at the Dynamo or anything.
Nah, they haven't made any good moves yet, so I ain't worried right now.
Well, they don't make good moves. Okay, Jonathan, you're next.
Ouch. I mean, for what it's worth, this is not the Dynamo Fancast. So, yeah, as far as Thanksgiving, I'll say I know my family's bought pretty much all of our what we're gonna need to cook. We bought our pies today. I don't know if this is happening at all of them, but HEB had sort of some sort of deal where you get a discount if you're buying 2 pies. So just keep that in mind if you still have not gotten those. And they had a decent selection. It was like a pumpkin swirl or like a pumpkin mix with cream, something like that. Regular
That's
pumpkin.
That is just go with a pumpkin pie. Do not fancy it up. Just go with the flat pumpkin pie, dude.
I
Put
don't know.
It was on top of it and call it.
We saw it. We tried, or we're going to try it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, like I said, it was a deal to get 2. We did get a regular pumpkin pie, so cream cheese. All right, interesting. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, they had a selection. They had those. They had a sweet potato pie, which I did not even know was a thing until last year. So just whatever pie you like, give it a shot. Yeah, there you go. Mic check, chiming in with sweet potato.
I'm just waiting for Mike to just bust in the room like, dude, we told you to buy it.
Well, I mean, I was there with them. That's why I was like, it was some sort of weird pumpkin swirl thing, pumpkin spice. I don't know, basic white girl pies. But yeah, they had a good selection. So whatever you feel like. I didn't mention it in there, but if you go with pecan pie, that is Jonathan approved. So yeah, I hope everyone has some good food in 4 days from now, and get ready for the long holiday season.
I thought Czech Jimenez, like I said, I thought it was going to be Royce Jimenez, Matt, but I think we found that it's Czech Jimenez for that here with the with
What
the
was my
comments.
controversial take?
Just messing with you.
I didn't say anything racist.
I didn't say you did. Just
Well, then
the
don't
whole
throw
white girl
holes
come
between me and that person.
Inside joke for that here. Rafa, we're about ready to put you to work outside of your normal job here. So your thoughts before you get super busy after tryouts for high school starts first week in December, and I know AJ's got a scrimmage a couple weeks after that. So mid-December, so you're less than a month from us cracking the whip on high school soccer with I think Matt's going to join us. Coach Kano with the 50-50 podcast does the state. We do more national, more locally here in San Antonio. And I think after this weekend, we're probably going to include with the Del Rio division, because Medina Valley's in it. I think you and I talked about putting that one into it because, which will be what, 6A, right?
Out west.
I think.
Yeah, 6A. Yeah, 36A. Yeah.
And they go down south, right, to Laredo, I think.
Yeah, so it's all, it's the 4 Laredo United ISD schools, and then Eagle Pass, Del Rio, and then now Medina Valley, which will probably be there just for 2 years before they open the new school. But yeah, busy week. Actually, it'll be a busy week because Wednesday it'll be the premiere of the 50-50 podcasts for the Statewide Show. First episode for the new 2025 season. So be on the lookout for that. So follow us on that. Shout out to Coach Cano. He had another great shows there at the coaches convention for the Tasco. So congrats to him there. Shout out to Steve on his wedding anniversary. Congrats, Coach Steve. He'll be out there with me too with some games too. And I know Matt will be there. And then we'll have some little surprises we're not going to say just yet. We want to keep that on the download for a little bit, just a little teaser. But yeah, looking forward to this
recruiting
weeks. You never know. Never know. But like I said, just want to say thankful for you guys. For another great season. Also happy Thanksgiving for you guys and your families. Have a nice restful one, and also for everyone else out there to watch us too. Like I said, we're looking forward for the 2025 season with SAFC. See, hopefully maybe after Turkey Day we end up getting a coach and signing some players and not wait till the last minute like last year. But and like I said, just be thankful for everything, and happy. Like I said, look forward to see you guys pretty soon.
My final thoughts, obviously, happy Thanksgiving to everybody that supports our show, that listens to the show, that contributes to the show. Happy anniversary, or not happy anniversary. Happy Thanksgiving to all the people that support us, our families, along those lines, because without their support, we probably would not be in the position to be able to do so. Thank you to all the soccer moms and soccer dads out there, like I said here, of all ages. For here, to me, it's a great family. For that here, a lot of great friends. Through that this podcast has been able to bring. And like I said here, I know this year for SAFC wasn't the best year. A lot of growing pains. Hopefully, with SAFC. They're listening, and they will make some improvements for that here. And to me, the improvements, while winning is important, to me, being able to show thanks to the season ticket members, to the supporters groups, to work with them, not work against them, to me, it is something that I think for 2025, Project 2025 for SAFC, is something that has to be at the top of their list for that here. Obviously, winning helps and covers a lot of things. But to me, thank you to Jonathan, all the people that, cover SAFC in general for that here, go to the interviews and the game day, the practice interviews and stuff. It's a way that we're able to kind of keep in touch for that here. Thank you to Royce, Robert, and Stuart. I know you're not on right now, but you guys do a lot behind the show. Robert, your Vikings, dude, come on. Overtime with the Bears. But get it together, son. Stuart, we got to have you on one of these times. The one time you were going to do it, I had to cancel for it here, so that's my bad. But we need to get you on. Rafa, Matt, Jonathan, always a pleasure. Like I said, you guys are dependable. Whenever we need to do a show, you guys are always willing to hop on. And like I said here, always bring wealth of knowledge. And for that here, and like I said here to my family, thank you for all the support and love that you guys bring. Like I said here, I will just say twin 16-year-olds, not fun, not easy, a lot of work. I made one day this week. I went to John Jay 5 times in one day for that here. So, but like I said, it's a lot of love that goes around and on this show here. And like I said here, looking forward to getting into high school soccer, just because that's how this show was founded way back when. Scott and I started this to kind of give more coverage to high school soccer, and hopefully we can expand on it and make Scott proud. I know Rafa, you still talk to Scott quite a bit for that here, or you're in communication with him. So I know he still checks in on the work that we do. So do appreciate everybody. Hope everybody has a wonderful time, and we are out.